Now, if you're considering getting yourself a Cane Corso, or maybe you've just got one, there are going to be some things about training your Cane Corso that probably seem pretty obvious. But in today's video, I'm going to use all of my experience to talk about a few things that you may not have considered when it comes to training your Cane Corso that you absolutely must incorporate if you want to have the dream canine companion you've always wanted. So this first little tip or trick that you might not have thought you needed for your dog is what I call the up command. That is a continuation from something like place training, where we can help our dogs understand that we want them to jump up onto something. Now, this might not be a trick that saves them from doing something really bad, but it's definitely going to set them up for tons of success in the long term, especially when it comes to being able to take them out in the wide world. Having the ability to get your dog to jump up into the car is incredibly useful, and your back will thank you for it. Your vet will also thank you for it if you can more easily get your dog up onto work surfaces where they can be calm and relaxed. That allows them to be checked over more efficiently and in a more calm, happy manner. Again, it might sound silly, but I promise you the up command will be a godsend every single day when you have it, or if you don't have it, there'll be tons of times where you're pulling your hair out wishing that you did. Now, the next tip that you must be training with your dog, especially if you want to avoid a whole host of negative behaviours, is the break command. Our dogs must clearly understand when we want them to do something and when we don't want them to do something. And when we don't want them to do something, or when we're happy for them to be finished doing what they're doing, we use the break command. Let me play out a scenario and I'll show you how quickly this can devolve into incredibly negative behaviours. You've asked your dog to sit, and then you turn your back and you go about your business, and the dog's sitting and the dog's sitting until the dog gets bored, then it gets up and goes off and does what it wants. That dog has made its own decision of when it should stop listening to what you've asked it to do. And that isn't the dog's fault, that's your fault, because you didn't either follow through on the sit, or you forgot to tell them that you had finished with them and they can go and do what it is that they want to do. The problem is that's a decision that it's made and learnt is acceptable to ignore your command. So how can we allow that to happen day to day in the home and not pay it any attention, but when we're out in the real world and we're asking a dog to ignore another dog that it's trying to get to and attack, or chasing livestock or chasing birds, we then get upset and annoyed that it's not listening to our commands. The reason it's not listening to our commands in that situation is because it spent all its life picking and choosing when it's finished listening to you. The single best way to flip that script is to have a break command. So if you ask your dog to do something, it must do it 100% of the time, zero exceptions, and it must continue to do it until you tell it it's done. And when we tell it it's done, that is the break command. Sit. Good. We can do whatever we want to do. The dog sits until I say break, and now it can go and do whatever it wants. Make it black and white, 1 and 0, crystal clear, that there is no exception, but the dog must look up to you for your loving leadership, guidance and direction. And I can't make a video about training tips and tricks that help prevent people from having terribly behaved dogs without talking about the importance of loose lead heel walking with your dog. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this is something that you've wanted to train and you would like to have a dog that walks nicely on a lead, but maybe not for the reasons that you should. Again, in this video, I wanted to focus on tips and tricks of training that you can do to set you up for huge amounts of success. And this tip isn't just about enjoying your walk so that the walk is more pleasurable for you. This tip is important because it sets your dog up for huge amounts of success in every area of their life. The single best way you can communicate to your dog that you are its loving leader is by going on a daily pack migration where you are leading the migration and they are following. I call it putting pennies in the piggy bank of leadership, so that in a God forbid situation where something happens out of your control and you must have your dog listen to you, no ifs, ands or buts, you can smash into that piggy bank and it is overflowing with leadership pennies that you can cash in to insist that your dog must follow your guidance and direction. But you do not have that ability if you're not putting in the work every single day. And one of the best ways that you can fill up that leadership piggy bank is daily pack migrations with your dog following you on a loose lead. Guys, I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe if you're new here. We make multiple videos like this every single week, and I can't wait to see you here on the next episode.